The town of Hollow Creek sat quietly between endless fields of corn and forgotten roads in the heart of Kansas. Most people passed through without noticing it. A gas station, a diner, a few aging houses, and one place that seemed trapped in another century. The Avalon Theater. Its faded neon sign still flickered every night despite being abandoned for nearly 20 years. Locals avoided it. Not because they believed it was haunted. Because something stranger lived inside. 22-year-old Ethan Parker had spent most of his life hearing stories about the theater. As a freelance journalist obsessed with urban legends, he considered those stories nothing more than small-town myths. Until he received an envelope. No stamp. No return address. Inside was a single movie ticket. Avalon Theater. One night only. Midnight screening. The last exit. October 18th. Ethan searched online. Nothing. No movie called The Last Exit. No director. No cast. No records. No mention anywhere. It was as if the film had never existed. That alone was enough to convince him to go. The night of October 18th arrived cold and windy. The theater stood at the end of Main Street like a forgotten monument. Its entrance doors were unlocked. Inside, dust floated through beams of moonlight. Yet somehow the lobby looked freshly cleaned. The old concession stand was stocked with popcorn. The lights worked. And people were already gathering. Around 30 of them. Some young. Some old. None spoke much. Ethan noticed something odd immediately. Several audience members seemed confused. Like they didn't remember why they had come. A gray-haired woman stared at her ticket for nearly 10 minutes. A middle-aged man kept checking his watch with growing anxiety. At exactly midnight, the theater lights dimmed. The curtains opened. The projector started. The screen remained black. For nearly 30 seconds. Then an image appeared. A lonely road at night. A single car driving through darkness. No opening credits. No studio logo. Nothing. The audience sat silently. The camera followed the car as it traveled deeper into an unfamiliar landscape. Everything felt strangely real. Not cinematic. Almost documentary-like. Ethan leaned forward. The driver finally became visible. His breath caught. The driver looked exactly like the man sitting 3 rows ahead. Same face. Same jacket. Same gray hair. The audience member noticed too. His eyes widened. People began whispering. On screen, the driver continued down the road. A road that seemed endless. Then he encountered a truck. The collision happened instantly. Metal twisted. Glass exploded. The car rolled into darkness. The audience gasped. 3 rows ahead, the man stood up. His face had gone pale. "I've seen this before," he whispered. Several people turned toward him. The movie continued. Emergency lights appeared. Paramedics arrived. The camera moved closer. 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 Until it revealed the driver's face. Dead. The exact same man. The theater became completely silent. The man stumbled backward. "What is this?" he shouted. No one answered. Then the screen went black again. New scene. A small house. A woman preparing dinner. Ethan froze. It was the gray-haired woman sitting near the aisle. The film showed her entire evening. Every detail. Every movement. Perfectly accurate. As if someone had secretly filmed her life. Her hands began shaking. No. On screen she heard a knock at her front door. She opened it. Nobody was there. Then the film abruptly ended. The lights turned on. The audience looked terrified. Some stood to leave. But the exit doors wouldn't open. A mechanical click echoed through the theater. Then a message appeared on the screen. White letters. Simple. Cold. Intermission, 15 minutes. The projector stopped. Nobody moved. And for the first time Ethan realized something wasn't right. This wasn't a movie. It was a warning. Or perhaps a prediction. And whatever was about to happen during the second half had already begun. The audience gathered in nervous groups throughout the lobby. Everyone wanted answers. Nobody had any. Ethan approached the gray-haired woman. "My name's Ethan." She looked frightened. "Margaret. You've never seen this movie before?" She shook her head. "Never." "What happened at your door?" "I don't know." The answer sounded honest. Nearby, the man from the car crash sat trembling in a chair. His name was Walter. According to him, the accident shown in the movie had never happened. At least not yet. The 15-minute intermission felt endless. Finally the lights flickered. The screen came alive again. Everyone returned to their seats. The second half began. This time there was no road. No house. The camera showed Hollow Creek itself. The town. Main Street. The diner. The church. Every location appeared deserted. The atmosphere felt wrong. Like reality slightly out of focus. Then Ethan appeared on screen. A murmur spread through the theater. He watched himself walking down Main Street. Looking nervous. Looking older somehow. The camera followed him toward the Avalon Theater. Toward the very building he currently occupied. The audience turned to stare at him. Ethan felt cold sweat running down his neck. The screen Ethan entered the theater. Inside, every seat was empty. Dust covered everything. Years of abandonment. Then the screen Ethan discovered something hidden beneath the projector room. A staircase. Leading underground. The audience watched as he descended. Step by step. Darkness swallowed him. Then the film cut away. No explanation. Just another scene. Margaret's house. A loud knock echoed from the speakers. Margaret gasped. The exact knock from earlier. 3 sharp impacts. Knock. 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 At that precise moment, something answered. Not from the movie. From outside the theater. Everyone heard it. 3 identical knocks. Coming from the front entrance. The audience froze. Nobody moved. The sound came again. Knock. 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 Walter stood up. No. Another knock. Louder. The theater manager suddenly appeared. A man nobody remembered entering. Tall. Thin. Wearing an old-fashioned suit. His face seemed oddly difficult to focus on. He smiled. The film is nearly finished. What film? Ethan demanded. The manager tilted his head. The one that records what comes next. The room fell silent. What does that mean? The manager's smile widened. You're watching tomorrow. Before Ethan could ask another question, the man walked away. And vanished into the shadows. The screen changed once more. Now it showed the theater itself. The exact audience sitting inside. Watching. Everyone stared in disbelief. Because the film was showing them in real time. Every movement. Every breath. Then something changed. On screen, the theater doors slowly opened. A dark figure entered. Tall. Featureless. Completely black. Like a hole cut into reality. The audience turned toward the real entrance. The doors remained closed. For now. The figure moved down the aisle. Closer. Closer. The movie ended abruptly. Darkness filled the screen. A final message appeared. Final act begins in 10 minutes. And outside the theater, someone knocked again. Panic erupted. Several people rushed the exits. Nothing worked. The doors remained locked. The windows wouldn't break. It was as if the theater had become isolated from the world itself. Ethan remembered the staircase shown in the movie. The hidden staircase. If the film truly showed the future, perhaps it also showed an escape. He convinced Margaret and Walter to help him search. Together they climbed toward the projection booth. Dust covered old equipment. Film reels lined the walls. Most were empty. Except one. A black reel labeled. The Last Exit. No date. No studio. No creator. Behind the projector stood a rusted cabinet. Exactly where the movie had shown it. Ethan pulled it aside. A narrow staircase emerged. Descending into darkness. The three exchanged nervous looks. Then they went down. The air became colder. The concrete tunnel below stretched far beneath the town. At its end stood a metal door. Beyond it waited a massive underground chamber. Thousands of film reels filled endless shelves. Thousands. Each labeled with names. Dates. Places. Lives. Entire human lives. Recorded. Stored. Catalogued. Margaret picked up a reel. It carried her name. Walter found one with his own. Ethan located his. The date on the label was tomorrow. Not today. Tomorrow. Footsteps echoed behind them. The theater manager emerged from the darkness. You found the archive. What is this place? Ethan asked. The man's expression became strangely sad. Every story needs an ending. You're recording people. No. He shook his head. The films create reality. The words echoed through the chamber. Ethan stared. What? The world exists because it is projected. Silence. The movie you're watching is unfinished. That's why events are still changing. Walter looked terrified. If the film ends, it becomes permanent. Margaret clutched her reel. Who made these? The manager looked upward. Toward the ceiling. Toward something far beyond. I've never met the projectionist. A distant mechanical sound echoed through the archive. The projector above had started again. The final act. The manager's face suddenly darkened. It's coming. What is? But Ethan already knew. The black figure. The thing from the movie. The thing entering the theater. The chamber lights flickered. One by one. Darkness spread through the archive. Something was descending the staircase. Slowly. Patiently. Searching. And whatever it wasn't part of the audience. The footsteps grew louder. Closer. Each step echoed through the underground archive. The lights continued failing. Shelf after shelf disappeared into darkness. Then Ethan saw it. The figure. Taller than any human. Completely black. No eyes. No face. Only emptiness. It moved silently between the shelves. The manager lowered his head. It's here for the ending. Walter grabbed his film reel. What ending? The manager pointed toward the center of the chamber. A giant projector stood there. Ancient. Enormous. Still running. Its beam disappeared upward into darkness. Feeding reality itself. Ethan understood. The film wasn't being shown inside the theater. The theater was being shown inside the film. They had it backward all along. The audience wasn't watching the movie. The movie was watching them. The black figure approached. Every reel it touched vanished. Entire lives erased. Entire histories gone forever. Panic spread. Walter ran. The figure followed. Within seconds he disappeared into darkness. A single scream echoed. Then silence. Margaret began crying. What do we do? Ethan looked at his reel. Tomorrow's date. His future. His ending. Suddenly he knew. The film needed a final scene. Without one, reality couldn't continue. He stepped toward the projector. The manager nodded. Understanding immediately. If you place your reel inside, the story ends. And everyone survives. The manager hesitated. Everyone except the author. The truth settled heavily between them. The film had been searching for its ending all along. For the person willing to write it. The black figure moved closer. Only yards away now. Margaret shook her head. No. But Ethan smiled. For the first time that night, he wasn't afraid. He inserted the reel. The projector roared. Light exploded across the chamber. The screen above began showing a final scene. A young journalist entering an old theater. Receiving a mysterious ticket. Watching a forgotten movie. Finding an impossible archive. And choosing to finish the story. The audience upstairs watched the ending unfold. The exits unlocked. The doors opened. The theater lights returned. Outside, dawn began to rise. The black figure stopped moving. Then slowly dissolved into nothingness. Reality stabilized. The film was complete. The manager faded with it. The archive vanished. The projector died. And Ethan disappeared. Gone. As though he had never existed. The surviving audience stumbled outside into the morning sunlight. Confused. Exhausted. Alive. Years later, investigators demolished the Avalon Theater. No underground chamber was ever discovered. No mysterious film reel was found. No records of the last exit existed anywhere. No evidence Ethan Parker had ever lived in Hollow Creek. Or anywhere else. The only remaining mystery appeared every October 18th. At exactly midnight. For a single frame. On television screens across America. A forgotten movie would briefly interrupt whatever was playing. One frame. Less than a second. Too fast to notice. Unless paused. And anyone who paused it saw the same image. A crowded movie theater. An audience staring directly at the camera. And seated alone in the very last row. A young man smiling. Watching. Waiting for the next screening. The end.